Great. Now, last thing that happened. Bomb explodes, shopper blows up, we crash. That was in 75. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I have to... There. So, we wake up in a hospital. Oh, that was a wet tea bag. Wake up in a hospital on Cyprus. We are immediately informed that the year is 1984. We've been in a coma for 9 years. We lost a hand, the left hand. We see ourselves in the mirror. We see the X-ray. We have like big pieces of shrapnel stuck in our head that can't be removed. And it's also described like there's teeth and things stuck in your head, other people's teeth. So yeah, the doctors and stuff help you a bit, try to get you to regain. You can't speak yet, you've been in a coma for 9 years, you can't move. They say that, oh, dude, we need to perform plastic surgery on you because people are looking for you. People are trying to kill you. You have to change your face. So we come to a character creator screen. This is only used in online thing, but it's like a good way to get the online thing to work. There's a character in online. Because the doctor pulls up a mirror and says, this is the man you were until today. Now that is going to be your phantom. But before he can pull it down, he's attacked by an assassin who comes from behind him and strangles him. That's up to the right, that's the assassin. She's about to kill you, but a mysterious man next to you helps you. He's completely covered in bandages. He calls himself Ishmael, down to the right. And he calls you Ahab, because Moby Dick. The hospital is attacked by XOF strike force, and they walk in and they basically massacre everyone. Like everyone. It's a very brutal scene of you barely being able to move, like crawling behind Ishmael who tries to help you escape. You regain some strength along the way, or at least some motor function. You can see in the picture there that we have lost quite a bit of weight at this point. Yeah, not only is XOF after us, we encounter these two freaks. That's the Man on Fire. We'll talk more about him later, but for now we can just say that he's a weird thing. Oh, yeah.
Did you say his name was Man on Fire?
Yeah, they just call him the Man on Fire. It's like more of a monster than a man. Never speaks or anything. Not sure if he's working with anyone. And the third boy is the thing to the right. Will later become Psycho Mantis, but this is Psycho Mantis as a kid. All we can say about Man on Fury so far, we don't know this yet, but I'll just say he's driven by all that drives him is a hatred for something. So he just walks towards you and tries to kill you. People try to shoot him and he's basically mortal. But yeah, you somehow manage to escape with Ishmael, who drives off with you in an ambulance. You're chased by the Man on Fire, who's riding a flaming unicorn. This is never explained, by the way. Also, he shoots like a big fire whale your way. This is never explained, he just does that, I guess. But yeah, you escape in the ambulance, but you're shot and a helicopter starts shooting at you. And Ishmael is knocked out, and you crash. And when you wake up, Ishmael is gone. However, another man is there to help you, down to the right. That's Revolver Ocelot, who is back. And he's back here to help you. So, yeah, I'm going to use this for a bit. Yeah, he says that he's been hired by Miller, who's still alive as well. He's been hired by Miller to save you and to save himself, because Miller is being captured. Let's talk about what's happened since in these 9 years. MSF is no more. MSF is gone. And instead Miller started his own private military company with the hope that eventually Big Boss would come back and start to lead that. That's called Diamond Dogs, this new private military company. And they have their own mother base, this time located on the Eastern African front, Eastern African Ocean. And now that's Snake, and you can see the shrapnel in his head and stuff like that. That's Snake. You go and you rescue Kaz, Kaz Miller. He's lost an arm, he's lost a leg. It seems he might have gone blind as well. It's never really explained if he is blind or if he isn't blind. People can speculate. But yeah, he's basically a shell of what he used to be. You bring him back to Mother Base, and now you're the leader of Diamond Dogs. Miller is a changed man at this point. He's only driven by lust for revenge. He's pissed, basically. He's paranoid, he doesn't trust people, but he still trusts and respects the boss. Big boss, of course. So yeah, this point becomes the main focus of the gameplay, which is doing missions for Diamond Dogs, because you're a private military company, and this is the game where you actually act as a private military company. You do this mission mainly in Afghanistan and in Central Africa. That's the helicopter you use, the P-Quad used to go in and out. Yeah?
At this point, are you the leader of Diamond Dogs?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the leader of Diamond Dogs. You also get a new code name, Venom Snake. Because he's a venomous snake, he's thirsty for revenge. Because you also fucking want revenge at this point. That's Cypher. So yeah, you do missions and you gather more information about Cypher. That's basically the goal. Oh shit. Someone wants to say something. Nice, I'm popular. Who can it be? It's fucking Axel. He wonders if I'm done. Okay. This game is going to be a weird structure. I'm gonna do this in a weird fucking structure. Hi!
Hello! Don't mind us.
Yeah, when you come late to a class, you walk in silently. You don't interrupt the class. I'm holding a lecture here. But I appreciate you coming. Please sit down. I'm going to do this game in a weird order because this isn't a linear game at all. Every other game is linear. This is not a linear game. This is an open world game with different missions, stuff like that. So I'm gonna just throw some characters your way. We meet along the way. The first character I'm gonna talk about is a sniper called Quiet. Her deal is basically we face her, she starts shooting at us, we take her down and take her back to Mother Base. She seems like she might be working for XOF or Skullface. Skullface is also a man we want revenge on this point, of course. Only reason we're in Afghanistan to begin with is to get revenge on Skullface, because we know Skullface is there. But Revolver Ocelot basically convinces Snake to take her capture. Maybe she knows something, or whatever. And she eventually even starts helping us on. She never speaks, but she starts helping you on missions. She's not posing a threat. We don't know if she's working with Cypher because she refuses to talk. And she's fucking magic, basically. She can go invincible. She has like extreme eyesight, like she can shoot a revolver between helicopter blades, like a full magazine without hitting anything. She can like run at super speed and like turn into a cloud of smoke. She's photosynthetic. So she doesn't eat, she only gets nutrition from the sunlight and from water. Which is why she's always almost completely naked. This is the part where Kojima said no, okay, because he got criticism when this character was revealed. Before this information was revealed, and he was like, oh, Kojima is like just a pervy old man. He was like, you'll all be ashamed of your words when you find out the reason. And it's this reason. She can't wear clothes because she will be suffocated. So she's just wearing like a bikini. Gotcha. She's a great character. She's a really great character. But yeah, she's yeah. Don't slut shame.
No? Perfect.
Yeah, and she grows to respect Big Boss immensely. Because, as I said before, Big Boss has that capability. The next character we're going to talk about is our old pal Huey Emrick, who also survived somehow. We find out Huey is now working with Skullface, kind of being kept prisoner and forced to work on a weapon. This weapon is the Sahelanthropus, which is the new Metal Gear. I'm going to use this for a bit. Yeah, so we meet him in a research facility. The mammal part is there as well. He kept it for some reason. You know, the boss is AI from Peace Walker. But of course they suspect him like crazy. So they want to bring him back because they suspect him because, oh, you said yes to that UN nuclear inspection that caused that killed everyone. You would have expected accepted that. You survived for some reason. You're pretty much the only one who wasn't on that chopper that seemed to have survived. And you're working with Skullface now. You're not doing well, buddy, so no one trusts him. You try to escape with him. Sahelanthropus comes to life and starts chasing you, which Huey says is impossible. It shouldn't be happening because it doesn't have an AI. Skullface refused, that's Skullface down to the right again, refused to use an AI because he didn't want a failure like Peace Walker happening. But due to the way they built it, the cockpit is too small. A full-grown adult can't fit in that cockpit. The explanation later is why Sahelanthropus is able to move is because Skullface is using the third boy, Psycho Mantis, to control things, because he can do that. Yeah, so we kidnap, basically, Huey, and Huey is insisting like, why are you treating me like this? I did nothing wrong. I was always loyal to you. We bring him back to Mother Base and torture the shit out of him. That happens, and that's when he talks about like the only reason why he started working with Skullface was because Strangelove was there. Because he and Strangelove actually fell in love. And they fell in love, they started working on this together, they got a baby boy called Hal. So now we have Hal, who's in himself a Stanley Kubrick reference to the AI in 2001. And Dr. Strangelove being his mother. He's very subtle, Kojima, he's a very subtle man. But yeah, he says that Skullface killed Strangelove and took his boy. And then there's the last character, Eli. Eli is the leader of a bunch of child soldiers in Africa. He's called the White Mamba. We go in there because Miller has kind of grown, ever since Paz, he kind of got scarred about Paz dying. So he's grown very, let's say, protective of children. So the goal is to bring all these child soldiers back to Mother Base. And they do. They basically start a school because they say we can't just ship them back out, but without a gun. They'll just end up in war again. So we'll just have to keep them here and have to teach them how to live life and then maybe send them out. Eli is their leader. Eli is a very, troublemaker, you could say. A very skilled little child soldier. A very angry little kid. He hates Big Boss for whatever reason. He just despises Big Boss. Always causes rebellion, like kills his fellow kids, and is just a general shitbag. They start speculating that this guy looks very similar to you. Are you sure he's not a project of the L'Enfant Terrible project? But they do DNA test, and it turns out that no, the DNA don't match. So he's not your clone. In this, around this time also they found out that Cypher was actually not behind the strike on Mother Base. It was XOF acting on their own. XOF has at this point basically split off from Cypher completely. Major Zero has grown to hate, Skullface has grown to hate Major Zero and Big Boss. We'll get into that later. Why? A strange virus starts spreading on Mother Base. A very strange virus. People get infected and they get, their lungs start looking like that, and their throats start fucking up and they die. If the symptoms start showing, you're dead. That's what we know. And we can't figure out the cause. It seems to target people at random. But eventually, due to some deduction, they found out that everyone who's infected speaks Kikongo, That's the one thing that everyone has in common. They speak the language Kikongo, an African language. So we basically quarantine everyone who can speak Kikongo. And we reach out to a man who's supposed to be able to solve this. And a man who also is forced to work for Skullface called Code Talker, to the right. Code Talker is a Native American, basically, who's like 150 years old. And he's kept alive because he's a parasite researcher. And he does parasites. He's completely covered in parasites who protect him, basically. The parasite give him supernatural abilities. They make him pretty much immortal. He's photosynthetic. A bunch of shit like that. And he says that he's, yeah.
Is he always also naked?
No.
Strange.
Kojima.
There is explanations for that, because he has a more advanced version where he can basically take his parasites and put them in different places and thus use photosynthesis on a larger surface. But yeah, and he basically says that he was forced by Skullface to create what he calls the vocal cord parasite, which is a parasite that targets specific languages. It infects the throat, your vocal cords, and if it detects certain types of vibrations, like certain languages, it will start to multiply. And that's when the symptoms start showing. But he says he basically has a cure for this. So we bring him back to Mother Base, he joins MSF, and the cure is basically I think he calls it like a malakia or something. But basically it's a cure, but it's not really a cure, it just turns all of the viruses inside of you female, thus hindering it from reproducing and spreading. So you don't get rid of the vocal cord parasite, but it becomes harmless. The effect of this is that you become sterile. Sterile, it's called. Sterile. Yeah. That's basically it with that shit. So, now we reached the end part of the main story of Metal Gear Solid 5. Basically, we confront Skullface. He just does, the supervillain thing. It's like, I'm gonna explain my entire motivation before we kill you, basically. So you get in a car and you ride on the way to the tanker holding Salanthropus. And in this car, he explains his entire motivation. Basically, he hates Major Zero because Major Zero stands for Unified World under English. And this spread of English is a way for Major Zero to control the world even more. And this is erasing languages, it's erasing identities, it's erasing cultures, it's erasing people. And Skullface himself was a victim of being a minority group who was basically erased. Their language and their culture, everything was erased. So everything about his identity is gone. So because of that, he's going to despise Major Zero. So his plan is that he has created 3 strains of the English vocal cord parasite, which he says he has. He has these 3 strains and he's planning to use them to eradicate English and everyone who speaks it. According to him, it's by cutting off a tumor, basically. Like, this thing is destroying the world and it's splitting the world apart. This is his interpretation of the boss's vision, basically. Rid the world of English and let everyone have their own culture and do their own thing, not controlled by anyone. However, they reach the hangar with Salanthropus. During this time as well, Eli escaped from Mother Base. So he's brought back in the chopper. Huey is also on that chopper because he had to pick up some things from his old research facility, I think. Yeah, that's what it is. So back to the hangar. The man on fire appears because he's with Skullface and the third boy, and they approach Snake with the intention of killing, especially the man on fire. The man on fire's fury and hatred is specifically aimed at Snake. He basically plans to kill Snake, but in that moment, the chopper containing Eli flies by. Now, the way the third boy works is that he clings to anything that holds huge hatred. And in that moment where Eli flies by, the third boy, Psycho Mantis, detects this and immediately abandons both Skullface and the Man on Fire and attaches to Eli and becomes his servant, basically. Because Eli apparently holds even more hatred than either one of those. The Man on Fire basically just loses control, walks back and is like basically commits suicide by being crushed by Sahelanthropus. Skullface is furious and runs away, and Sahelanthropus comes to life to kill Snake. We beat Sahelanthropus again. However, when we beat it, there's like huge calamity or huge, what do you call it? Collateral damage, thank you. And caught under debris is a now dying Skullface. So we and Miller, or Snake and Miller, approach him. He's begging to be killed because he's in huge pain. Snake uses a sawed-off shotgun to fire off his arm and his leg to symbolize what he took from Miller. And then they leave him to bleed out, to make him suffer. That's their revenge. They only find 2 strains of the vocal cord, of the English vocal cord parasite. There's supposed to be 3, so now there's a mystery. Where the fuck is the third one? Snake throws both of them into fire. One explodes and one is in secret taken by the third boy. They think it's gone, but the third boy has it. Mantis. But as soon as they turn around, guess what? The fucking asshole himself, Huey, just comes out and shoots him in the head to prove his innocence and to prove his loyalty. Like, haha, I got you. And like, fuck, dude. So yeah, Huey is not that like. The only reason he's being kept around is because he's doing research for Mother Base, and he's fucking good at it. Sure, he might be an asshole and we suspect him and we torture him from time to time, but he makes good stuff. So they bring back Sahelanthropus to Mother Base, and now that's their Metal Gear, their deterrent. That's where the credits roll. That's where everyone thinks, oh, the game is done. Because that's like 25 hours into the game. And then it just says Act 2. Which is just as long. It doesn't have as much story, but the story is way better in Act 2. So we'll just skim through it. They bring back the mammal pod. The AI, the boss AI. They bring that back to Mother Base, and what do they find inside the mammal pod? They find a corpse of Strangelove. So Huey is questioning about this, tortured like crazy, and he screams like, Skullface, he was so angry at her, he threw her in there, and then he locked the door, and I could do nothing. That's what happened. And that's a picture of Strangelove in hell. He's like 3 at that point, and he already has those glasses and the hair. I love it. We get information that the Man on Fire is his corpse has been retrieved and is held in an Afghanistan base. So we sneak inside to get it because what the fuck's up with him? And it turns out that the Man on Fire is actually what remains of Colonel Volgin.
Oh, what?
Only being kept alive basically by his raging fury and hatred for Snake, his thirst for revenge. But he can't really do anything he has no fuel for this revenge or fuel for himself without the third boy. But Snake comes close, and that's enough to make him move. Like, that's how angry he is, I guess. He's about to kill Snake, and then he stops in the middle and seems to calm down, loses all his fury, and then he dies. We'll talk more about that later. What happens? Now comes the by far best part of Metal Gear Solid 5, and the part that I wish this game had more of. If this game had more of these kinds of missions, sure, it's kind of pretentious, but it's good, and I want this to happen more. Basically, the vocal cord parasite starts to mutate on the quarantine facility, and it's basically just killing people now. They don't even have to speak a certain language. People are just fucking dying. And there's like a strange transmission from something in the quarantine facility. So we enter the quarantine facility, and we walk through this hospital with like dead people everywhere, people puking blood, people, you know, begging for their life, please help us, boss. It's very gruesome. Also a bunch of soldiers who, you know, keep them safe, because it seems like people who get too infected can almost become zombies, or at least fly into rage. So we reach the top and we find a guy who, I think I forgot to write this down. I think he has shot both his own legs off, and he's acting all crazy, but he can't walk. And it turns out the reason for this and why I did this is because when you get infected, you get an irresistible urge to go outside. Why do you get an irresistible urge to go outside? Because outside there are birds, and you can infect the birds. And this is, at this point, an uncontrollable disease that just kills everyone. So what would happen if they get outside and they infect the birds? The birds would fly to the mainland, and that would cause a national epidemic. And people just start, you know, walking towards the exit. So we're basically left with no choice, and we have to start gunning down our own men. Some do resist, most don't. Some haven't even begun to have symptoms yet, but we see in the throat it shines. So we walk through the hospital and we gun down people. They're scared, or they're running away from you, and you have to kill everyone. You can't leave unless you kill everyone. There's a great moment up to the right where you enter a room with people fighting about what they're supposed to do. As soon as you enter, they see you and say, let the boss decide. And they all do salute, while you have to kill all of them one by one. And as you shoot them, they like scared, and then they force themselves to go back. It's a really, really powerful moment. And it ends with Snake like walking through the corridor of the blood of his own man, killed by his own hand, basically turning into a demon. The strap on his head is increased in this moment, like look like a horn. So yeah, and then there's the funeral scene where everyone is cremated that was killed in the incident. They're about to spread the ashes into the ocean, and Snake says no, and he takes the ash and he puts it on his own face. You won't leave me. He says something like, I won't scatter your sorrow to the heartless ocean, or something like that. And he demands that instead of scattering the ashes is going to be made into diamonds that the soldiers can bring into battle, making those victims always a part of Diamond Dogs. Also, Huey is there in the middle of the funeral before anything really happens. Huey is there and he's like, you killed them, how could you? You're a monster. Because fuck Huey. And speaking of fuck Huey Emrick, there's a trial for Huey Emrick, because it turns out that, the virus mutated. There's an X-ray thing that people have to go through that had the virus, because they had to do regular checkups. That has started to emit beta rays as well. You're the one responsible for that. There's no reason to have beta rays in an X-ray machine. Beta rays mutate cells. Why did you do that? And no, I didn't do that. That's fine. And they realized, oh, you've been in contact with DARPA, you know, the weapons facility under Cypher. So basically, sure, there's some crazy people who theorize like, no, they were wrong about this. But yeah, he's been experimenting on a vocal cord parasite, trying to make it even more dangerous to sell it. He was trying to sell the parasite to Cypher in exchange for his own safety, to get away from Mother Base. So he's responsible for the massacre and everyone dying. Also, they're bringing the mammal pod, the AI, which turns out it recorded everything that happened with Strangelove. And it turns out that in reality, due to the cockpit of the Sahelanthropus, the Metal Gear, being too small, Huey got the genius idea, we'll just put Hal in it, our son. He's like 2. He can fit. And Strangelove is like, he'll die. And Huey's like, yeah, but still. They have a fight, and in secret Strangelove sends away Hal to United States. Huey is furious and locks her inside the mammal pod and has her suffocated to death. And right as he's about to be, Huey Emrick is a fucking asshole. People who play these games in chronological order start to hate Otacon, because they have the same voice actor and they look the same. So here's the guy we hate again. Even though Otacon is just a cool dude. But yeah, they're about to execute him, but Big Boss stops them. Or Venom Snake, or whatever you want to call him. And says that this man is not one of us. He's an enemy, and we have no right to judge an enemy. It's not our duty. So he's exiled. He's sent off on a life raft. That's the end of Huey. Let's get to the conclusion of Quiet. So the deal with Quiet is basically she was working for XOF. She has the last English strain in her. Her mission was basically to infiltrate XOF, or infiltrate Diamond Dogs, and then start to speak and infect everyone with the English strain. However, she started to respect Big Boss and decided to not do that, and instead decided to be quiet. So that's why she never speaks. It's because if she did, she would cause an epidemic. But after this mutation thing, she realizes that my vocal cords might be mutating as well. So she might be becoming a walking time bomb, basically. She decides to leave Mother Base. We don't know why at this point, or Snake doesn't know why. So he follows her. She's been kidnapped by some Afghan soldiers. We save her, and then she saves us 5 times in a row, basically. We fight like a full-sized army together. And both of us being hurt, we walk away in a sandstorm. But hiding from enemies, Venom Snake is bitten by a venomous snake in a sandstorm. And he's basically dying because they have no serum. The P-Quad, you do have helicopters on his way, but he can't locate them because they're in a sandstorm. So Quiet picks up and starts speaking in a Native American tongue. She's the same kind of Native American as Code Talker. P-Quad doesn't understand, the P-Quad pilot. So she eventually just starts guiding him in English. And then she disappears, basically, and is presumed dead at this point. So that's Quiet. Now let's talk about something that sucks about this game and also is cool. There's a scene where Eli, they don't know that Eli and the third boy is in cahoots at this point. So Eli steals the Sahelanthropus and they fly away in the distance because that's something that the third boy can do. So they steal, and they also have a helicopter with all child soldiers. Now this is never concluded in the game. This just leaves everything open. There was a mission that was cut. There is a cutscene of it, but I won't show it because it's 20% done. It looks like shit. So I'm just gonna go through the concept art of the missing mission. Kingdom of Flies. Basically, Eli and the child soldiers, and along with Third Boy and Sahelanthropus, took over a small island in Africa. And there they just lived like the Kingdom of Flies. They're ambushed by a bunch of XOF soldiers as well as Snake at the same time. He takes down the XOF riding the Sahelanthropus because he can fit in cockpit. He can fit in the dick cock. You fight Sahelanthropus again. Luckily you don't do this in the game because that would be the 4th time you fight Sahelanthropus. But you beat him. And Eli lying hurt on the ground. Snake walks up to him and notices that, oh shit, he and everyone here has the English strain. They've somehow got infected along the way. So they're all sick. This is interesting because Venom Snake has been seen as, or Big Boss or whatever in this game, has been seen as a kind of very nice character who's shown mercy at pretty much every point. But in this point he just looks at Eli and puts a gun next to him and tells him to finish himself off. And then rides away and they to pour napalm all over the island, all over the kids, to eradicate the English strain. Before this happens, however, the third boy just removes the vocal cord parasite from Eli with magic and saves him, and they float off. But every other kid is napalmed. And this is very out of character. Very, very out of character for what we've known him to do for the rest of the game. This is where we get into the end, and the reason why. This is the big thing about Metal Gear Solid 5. The reason why you should never Google this game. The last mission is the first mission again, replayed. But certain things are different. For example, if we look down there, you might notice something down to the left. For example, doesn't really matter. So, what is the plot twist? The plot twist is that let's explain everything that happened, but what happened for real. After the helicopter exploded in Ground Zeroes, Big Boss, Miller, and the medic was in coma, basically. Miller wasn't in coma, but he was hurt. And they conducted a plan, along with Cypher, because Cypher still respects Big Boss and doesn't want him to die. They conduct a plan where they create a phantom of Big Boss. They create a phantom by using the medic. With facial reconstruction surgery and hypnotherapy, they create a new Big Boss from the medic. That's the medic up to the right, how he appears in Ground Zeroes. So when you did the character creation that I joked off as a joke, that's important because that's the character that actually are you in the game. When you wake up, that's your new face because they made you into Big Boss. Venom Snake is a different character. You haven't been playing for Big Boss for the entire game. Ishmael, who helped you in the beginning, that's Big Boss. He's there to protect you, to protect his phantom. Yeah. So when the only one who knew this was Ocelot. He was the only one who knew about this, and Zero, of course. So, yeah. There's a cutscene where you look in the mirror and you see a face that's not your own, and you play tape that you get from the real Big Boss, because the hypnotherapy is starting to wear off. You start to get memories, so you send that tape, where he explains most of it. There's a cutscene where Big Boss, the real Big Boss, is talking to Ocelot, and he's sent off on a motorcycle, a Triumph motorcycle. And yeah, the tape is called "From the Man Who Sold the World." Basically talks about how you're also Big Boss now. We're both Big Boss. The medic was like his most loyal man, and now you carry on the legacy as well. So in order to basically part escape from XOF, but also mostly to increase his own legend, because he started to realize that to realize his own dream of the boss's vision, he needed to be a legend. He needed to make himself bigger than one man can do. So he gives that mission to Venom Snake, which is a different character. Yeah, and then there's like a kind of symbolic scene where, because Venom Snake is told to assist, or Venom Snake is working on Outer Heaven. That's his thing. And in secret, Big Boss is doing his own thing. And yeah, so Ocelot is basically supporting Venom Snake until the real Outer Heaven is done. And at this point, when there's a time jump, doesn't say that it's a time jump, but it is a time jump. Because in the first part of this scene, when it looks in the mirror, you see the Diamond Dogs logo in the background. Then it cuts to a different camera angle, and there's the Outer Heaven logo in the background, saying there's been some years. At this point, Venom Snake has realized that whole thing about us both being Big Boss, that was a huge lie. He realized he was being used to cover Big Boss's real Outer Heaven, and now it's been abandoned. It's been abandoned by Ocelot, and his Big Boss is planning to kill him, because Big Boss at this point is a foxhound. He created Foxhound. So the reason why we could kill Big Boss in Metal Gear 1. You remember Metal Gear 1?
Mm-hmm.
That's not Big Boss, that's Venom Snake. Venom Snake dies in Outer Heaven by the hands of Solid Snake. You know, the first game on the MSX. Fake Big Boss. That's the character we've been playing for this entire game. And basically after finding out he's big boss, he turns to evil basically. However, he manages to rid the world of nukes. That's the effort of Venom Snake. But yeah, that's basically he embraces the dark nature of Big Boss when he finds out the truth. That's why he becomes an asshole to Eli and blah blah blah. Also, this explains why I told you like Eli might have been L'Enfant Terrible project.
Yeah.
He is Liquid. The reason the DNA didn't match was because Venom Snake isn't Big Boss. And the reason the Man on Fire stopped being angry was because he noticed this isn't the real Big Boss. So yeah, a bunch of things like that. So yeah, that's the plot twist of this game. And that's the end of The Phantom Pain. Or?
Let's see if I can skip past all this.
I'm gonna turn off the music for a bit.
The boss has some plan.
There's no subtitles for this one. This is the voice of Miller and Ocelot, by the way. I will be hearing this. Let's see. Oh shit. No, I have to do it again. Oh.
If the boss has some plan, what is it?
The real Big Boss is working separately from us to create his new nation.
New nation?
A military nation above and apart from all. The true outer heaven. Something created to maintain world balance, independent of the struggles for supremacy, for personal profit, the cycles of revenge between countries. It'll be an army, all right, but more. Big Boss is building a nation. But until it's complete, we support the other Big Boss. The Phantom carries on his legend, his meme. That is Big Boss's plan.
So that's the way it is. 9 years ago, I thought everything had been taken from me. But now I really have lost it all. The boss, and the future we were building together.
One day, the age of Big Boss's sons will arrive. They'll likely want to settle the score with him. We have to shape that age. We'll each have roles to play. Building the foundation for a revolution led by both Big Bosses, the true one and the Phantom.
No. Big Boss can go to hell. I'll make the Phantom and his son stronger to send him there. For that, I'll keep playing my role.
You know, sooner or later there will be only one boss. There's only room for one boss. His sons are fated to face each other someday too. If the day ever comes that you go back to Cypher, I'll aid the other son. And then you and I will be enemies too. One of us will have to kill the other.
Fine by me. I'll be ready for the new age. Until then, we better get used to coexisting.
There.
Skar de halsen av?
Sorry?
Skar de halsen av?
Nej, jag bara stängde en dörr.
Och det är inte klart än.
Det är till spel kvar.
Till spel.
Nej, det är slut nu. Ja, då ska jag säga till Henrik att inte än är det Hamburg.
Let's get into the most complicated fucking game in history.
Nice.
This game is a clusterfuck. This game takes place in 2014. We play as Solid Snake again. The second game in a Solid franchise where we play as Solid Snake. Skank. And Sonic. Yeah. So remember what happened in 2? Great. Thanks. Let's move on to what the fuck the story in this clusterfuck of a game is. So remember the Patriots, right? The Patriots are all AIs now. Wait, fuck no, we have to go back. I forgot something. Phantom Pain. Remember Phantom Pain? I forgot something really important about it. Shit. It's fine. I'll have to go back in my notes. Great. After you beat the game, you get... Most of this game is told via tapes. You get tapes of people talking, like Ocelot talking with Miller or something. You get certain tapes here. These are the tapes containing Major Zero. And what happens with Major Zero? There's a tape with Major Zero talking with Paz, the first time they meet, and saying his goals with her. There's a tape with him meeting Ocelot, talking to him about their plan to create Venom. There's a scene with him talking to Miller. Shut up. And most importantly, there's a scene with him talking with Skullface on the phone before Skullface went rogue. And what happens in this is that Skullface has been tasked with finding a pin of one of his old friends, one of his and boss's old friends in the SAS, a pin that he used to wear. So, you know, Skullface finds it and sends it to him as gift, and they talk via the phone as Zero is playing with this pin in his hand. However, this pin has been rigged and sticks a needle into him. And it's like, I just cut myself. And then he immediately has a seizure, and because this pin contained a virus, not a vocal cord virus, just a fucking virus. And he is treated immediately, but this was like the only way for Skullface to get in some sort of contact with Zero to take him out. He gets treatment immediately, but it takes his damage. And after this point, Zero becomes very, very, very sick. There's a scene where there's another tape where Zero, now barely being able to walk anymore, talks with Big Boss. Big Boss still in coma at this point, but just speaks to him as an old friend, because that's what Big Boss always were. He was a friend. And after this point, he realizes that oh shit, I'm about to die. And that's where he realizes that, well, I can't trust people anymore to carry on this. I don't want people to betray me anymore, like Big Boss did. We have to make AIs. Him and DARPA chief create the AIs that eventually... It's supposed to be a normal system to just keep in place, but these AIs eventually just go haywire and start mutating, basically, like mutating by themselves. And yeah, so that's the last thing we hear about Zero. So yeah, that's important. Sorry. Let's get back to this shit. So yeah, the Patriots are AIs, right? At this point. In 2014, war has changed, as the original speech says. Why? Because everything is being controlled by the computers. Something called a war economy has really started building up. The war economy is basically, oil doesn't exist anymore. Let's remember that. So the business that was in oil is now in war. Create a war that will, energy supply will increase. People will buy weapons. There's a lot of business to be had in war, and the Patriots, now run by no moral at all. They've evolved past that. Has made that their thing. They control the war economy. There's proxy wars everywhere in the world, and everything is being kept under total control. One thing that does this is a program called the SOP, Sons of the Patriots. Sons of the Patriots is basically every soldier and a lot of other people as well is injected with nanomachines. Now, nanomachines doesn't mean like a real machine. It's like, you know, viruses and genes, things, and small things that control. Everything has that. And that's the Sons of the Patriots, those nanomachines. With those nanomachines, the system can enhance your abilities. They can control your emotions, stop you from trembling, stop you from feeling pain, stop you from feeling fear. They can make you cooperate better with people around you by making the nanomachines talk to each other. They can stop you from being hungry. They can stop you from being sick. Everything's kept under control. And so yeah, basically, the Patriots at this point are just fueling the war economy. They're sending people into proxy wars that are not supposed to be for an ideology. It's war for the sake of war, to fuel the economy. This whole war economy situation has all brought up or popularized a business model that was made by Big Boss a long time ago, the PMCs, the private military companies. Here's a nice picture of what they explain. Oh yeah, the SOP program also prohibits you from like using certain weapons. It can lock weapons out of you, because now you have to buy your weapon. You can't find it on the battlefield, and everything is controlled. When people will die, how they will die, how each battle will go. Yeah. So like they explain, like 60% of the armies or soldiers in the world is PMCs at this point. So Snake is standing on a graveyard. That's where his story begins. He's not looking too well. He's looking fucking old. That's Snake in the top right. Now what the fuck has happened with Solid Snake? Because this is only 5 years after Metal Gear Solid 2. This is in 2014. Hal is looking okay. And it's explained that Snake is experiencing sped up aging. He's aging rapidly for some reason. They've done tests, it just seems like, yeah, you're just aging. We can't figure out the cause. And it seems like at this rate, he has 1 year to live at most. You're still with your ragtag partner, Otacon. You're both traveling the world and having a gay old time. You're contacted by Roy Campbell, your old commander of Foxhound, who says that Liquid has surfaced. Remember that at this point, Liquid and Ocelot is one person. And so, yeah. Basically, it's explained that there's 5 PMC companies in the world. The biggest 5 PMCs. For some reason, I wrote down their names. Doesn't matter. There's Praying Mantis, Piovel Augment, Raven Sword Werewolf, and Ocelot's Voyage Vodka. Thanks. And all of these big 5, they're called the big 5, is controlled by Mother Company. And the Mother Company is called Outer Heaven, controlled by Liquid. So yeah. Blah, 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 blah. So Snake is basically hired to go and kill Liquid at this point. Liquid is basically posing a threat for everyone, including the Patriots. So we're sent into... Oh shit. We're sent into a war-torn area in the Middle East where Liquid has been spotted. We're immediately attacked by a bunch of geckos. That's the gecko to the down to the left. Metal Gear Irving is the official name. It's a small robot with like legs. It sounds like a cow and it's very threatening. And it just kills every one of the rebels you fight with in the beginning. You manage to escape those. You sneak through some areas with a lot of PMCs that you have to avoid, because everything is PMCs now, and the PMCs are controlled by Liquid. You find a man called Drebin. Drebin is a gun launderer. That's the guy in the middle there. Drebin is a gun launderer. What does that mean? Well, every weapon is ID tagged. You can't fire a weapon if you don't have the right nanomachines. He's a gun launderer. He can get past the ID locks, basically. He does this by giving Snake a shot with containing basically the nanomachines he needs to be able to bypass the locks. Basically the gun version of shipping your PlayStation 2. is, I just want to add, I thought that up right now, and that was a really, really good comparison. Yeah, so you're supposed to meet with a group of informants called Rat Patrol 1. You meet up with them, and guess who's part of that except Meryl, or none other than Meryl, who now leads this Rat Patrol, who's basically like a PMC surveillance unit. They keep track of the PMCs. And on this team is also 2 other people, and down to the right, you 2 know. Do you have any idea who that might be?
No.
If we say the first time we see him, he is kind of acting incompetent and he has a lot of diarrhea. That's Poop Johnny!
It's back, baby.
Johnny Sasaki,
So,
who they mainly call Akiba in this game. Named after Akihabara, the weeb capital of Tokyo. But yeah, that's Poop Johnny. I'm gonna keep calling him Poop Johnny. So yeah, we talk with Meryl, and she basically doesn't really say anything important. She explains SOP a bit more to us, but this is the scene where we see SOP in action for the first time, because we tell her that, oh, Campbell put you up to this. Campbell isn't her uncle, by the way, as it was said in the first game. It's actually her father. She hates him. She calls him a womanizing piece of shit. And she freaks out. She becomes furious, starts kicking things over. But then the SOP kicks in, makes her calm. That's how the SOP work. You know the nanomachines. Yeah, you're attacked by frogs. What is frog? Frog is like liquid special unit. It's a bunch of super soldiers, basically. So yeah, you're attacked by those. You have to sneak out of the building that you met the Rat Patrol 1 in. Also a moment where you see SOP in action, where everyone is extremely coordinated with what they're doing, except for Johnny, because Johnny poops, and he shits his pants on the way down as well. And everyone is like, ooh, no, stinky. Yeah, we continue moving on. We leave the Rat Patrol behind. We see the Beauty and the Beast corpse down to the left. That's basically the bad guys of this game. Also the bad guy patrol that we literally has no bearing on the story whatsoever. They're cool boss fights, but they're the absolutely least interesting boss group in this series. They're just fan service. They're a combination of different bosses. There's Laughing Octopus, who's laughing, the emotion of the joy. She has the octopus arms that Solidus has, and she's called Octopus, like Decoy Octopus in Foxhound. We have, I'm just gonna go through this quickly. We have Raging Raven, Rage like the Fury. She has bombs like Fat Man, and she's Raven like Vulcan Raven. We have Crying Wolf like Sniper Wolf. She's crying like the Sorrow, and she has Fortune's Railgun. And then there's Screaming Mantis, screaming like a combination of the pain and fear. She has Throwing Knives like Vamp, and she's Mantis like Psycho Mantis. That's literally the last time I'll talk about them. We'll fight them sometimes, I won't talk about it, doesn't matter. But yeah, we see Liquid. That's Liquid now, in Ocelot's body. Completely taken over. And we also see Naomi standing next to him, Naomi Hunter. The genetics expert from the first game who injected us with fox dye. Basically, after the first game, due to her manipulating the virus, she was sent to prison. But she was broken out by. She escaped with the help of Liquid, so now she's with Liquid. Liquid does something weird. We don't know what just yet. He basically, we're in the middle of the PMC camp, and he just points and everyone starts losing their fucking shit. They start puking, they start beating each other, it's like chaos. Even Snake is having some problems with this. The Rat Patrol is also there in the area, everyone starts having attacks as well, except for Johnny. Johnny's fine for some reason, Poop Johnny. Yeah, brother. Yeah, Snake passes out, but he gets help from Naomi. Naomi walks down and pretty much gives him a shot, which saves him. We'll talk more about that later. We continue on to the Nomad. The Nomad is the plane that Snake and Otacon lives on. They live on that with the girl you see down to the right. So yeah, it's 2 men and 1 little girl on this plane. that little girl is Sunny Golukovic, the daughter of Olga, who was at some point saved by Raiden after Metal Gear Solid 2 from the Patriot's grasp. So now they take care of her. She's a small girl, she sucks at cooking eggs, and she's great at hacking. That's basically her character. We get a video from Naomi telling us basically, fucking save me, I'm being held captive. I'm in South America. I'm here. So we go to South America to save Naomi. I was about to say Meryl. Who do we find in South America but none other than the guy to the top right, Vamp. Vamp's back, baby. Woo. Fuck yeah. In case you forgot, Vamp is the Transylvanian flamenco dancing vampire who runs in water and throws knives and sucks blood. And he's also immortal. It's great, it's fantastic. So we're gonna stay on this slide for a while. This is, by the way, the PowerPoint that I kind of gave up at. So fuck it. It just have to be in this frame for a while. We find Naomi, and she gives some exposition like how when everyone went nuts in the Middle East, and she made everyone or Liquid made everyone freak out, he actually turned off their nanomachines for a bit by entering the sense of the Patriot system in certain ways. We'll talk more about that later. But if you turn that off, all of the emotions that have been suppressed, all the pain, all of the guilt, everything comes back at once, making you lose your mind, basically. But that doesn't explain why the fuck did Snake freak out at this. It's because Snake also has nanomachines, right? But it's older generation nanomachines. It's from the Shadow Moses days. And it's just basically, yeah, his nanomachines freak the fuck out when that happens. That's all. So he doesn't get like seizures and guilt. He just like feels like shit. She explains that the shot she gave him is a shot that suppresses nanomachines. So in order to suppress your nanomachines from going bananas, you take a shot and then it's fine. She does some tests on Snake to find out about his health and shit. She comes to the realization, or what do you say? Conclusion. Thanks. Conclusion that the aging is not due to a fox dye. You remember, Snake is still infected with fox dye. Remember fox dye? Mm-hmm. That's important in this game. That's not why he's aging. He's just made that way. He's made that way to not to die faster, so he won't fall in the hands of enemies, because he's like a weapon. He's born to be a weapon and to be discarded. So there's nothing to do about the rapid aging. She also finds that the fox dye who's in Snake, which is in Snake, is starting to mutate by itself. What is this mutation? It's basically taking away fox dye's ability to target specific individuals, making it a virus that will infect everyone, making him a time bomb. She says that in 3 months you won't be able to target anyone anymore, and you'll just kill everyone you come in contact with. You become a bioweapon, basically. However, she says that if the host dies, the virus will die with it, making Snake consider dying before that happens. Also, there's a mysterious new strain of fox dye inside him that seems to be rather new, and it's a mystery. And she asks, wait, you have more fox dye that wasn't here before. Did you get any shots lately? And he's like, oh, Drebin, the gun launderer. And we call Drebin and say, what the fuck did you do that? And he's like, no, I didn't. Okay, that's basically that. Yeah, syringes, and a bunch of shit happens. I'm gonna skip some shit and basically skip to the part where Naomi and Drebin and the Snake escape in Drebin's vehicle. That's Drebin's vehicle to the top left. They escape, but the vehicle falls over, and they're surrounded by geckos. But who comes to save them but a cyborg ninja, Raiden, who's now a cyborg ninja. Going through what happens to Raiden since Metal Gear Solid 2 real quick. He got basically PTSD from all of his child soldier memories. He left his family. He started fighting again, or doing the military. He was captured by the Patriots, and they did the same experiments on him that they did on Grey Fox. But he managed to escape, and now he's back. Raiden kills every gecko with ease, and then he fights Vamp, and seemingly beats Vamp. But you know, Vamp is fucking immortal. Before this, you shot him in the head, and he's fine. Like in this game, you shot him again in the head. But yeah, Raiden wins the fight. Vamp passes out, and Raiden, along with Snake, Naomi, and Otacon, escape in a chopper. Raiden is very hurt at this point. Like they hurt him really fucking bad. So great, we're going through this fast. Raiden and Vamp, Raiden hurt, escape in chopper. We're back in the Nomad again. This is basically where mission briefings happen between missions. And this is also where the gameplay ends. Now there's pretty much no gameplay in the entire game from this point. And we're like maybe a fourth into the game. Yeah, she explains, Naomi explains how this whole, why Liquid is able to turn off the nanomachines. This is a project Liquid he calls Guns of the Patriots. Basically, he has somehow gained access to the system of Sons of the Patriots, and is able to turn off certain things. But however, to do this, the code for this is the genetic code of Big Boss, the living code. It can't be like a corpse, which is impossible because fucking Big Boss is dead. But he used his own the first time, and it worked, right? But since it's not a perfect match, it's locked out. You can only use it once. And he also used Snakes a second time, and also just to test basically. But now he shouldn't be able to do it anymore, because how the fuck is he going to get in? And because, you know, Big Boss is dead as fuck. And Naomi says, no, Big Boss is alive. Technically. After Zanzibar Land, he was kept alive as like a shell of a man, basically brain dead vegetable with like no skin and no flesh and just a blob, being kept alive by the Patriots. Reasons for this is unclear. It won't get really all that clear. But yeah. So they're told that this corpse used to be with the Patriots, but Raiden managed to get it back, or managed to steal it, because he has information about the Patriots inside of him, as we talked about before, because of his interactions with GW, the AI that we destroyed. Because, you know, GW was one of the AIs, but there's 5 AIs that are the Patriots. There's GI, there's TJ, there's AL, and there's wait, what would it be?
JD.
No, yeah, JD is later, but there's TR. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, and Tom Jefferson. The presidents on the Mount Rushmore, the Patriots. And they're all controlled by a mother AI called JD, John Doe, Big Boss's real name. But you know, GW is gone. But yeah, so Big Boss's corpse had been retrieved and taken to a rebel group, a resistance fighting group in Eastern Europe, led by a woman called Big Mama. So we're supposed to go find Big Mama, and you know, prevent the corpse from getting in the wrong hands, basically, because they have the corpse of Big Boss. Raiden is hurt as shit at this point, and is like going to do like some dialysis from a doctor. Great. We meet up with Big Mama, who turns out to be none other than Eva from Metal Gear Solid 3. And she also reveals immediately that she is in fact the mother of Snake and Liquid. She was the one who they implemented with their, who they were implemented with. She's the one who carried them and who gave birth to them. She did this out of a huge, big love for Big Boss. They fell in love in Metal Gear Solid 3. But yeah, yeah, she gives the backstory of like the entirety of Snake Eater and the Patriots that I told before. That happens at this point, but that doesn't matter. We know that. So she shows us Big Boss, the corpse of Big Boss. That's down to the right. That's what remains of Big Boss at this point, which isn't a lot. Yeah. Blah 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 blah. I keep losing myself. Yeah, the PMCs in this area start attacking, led by Liquid, to get the corpse of Big Boss. We kind of managed to escape them, but we're knocked over by Raging Raven, and we fight Raging Raven. Blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. However, what does matter is that we reach Riverside, where we find Liquid. Liquid now has managed to find or get his hands on the corpse of Big Boss, and he's standing there with the Vamp and Vamp and Naomi. Naomi has betrayed us again. She's back with Liquid. Why is unclear. But yeah, she betrayed us like hell. We fight Liquid, we hand to hand in CQC combat. We lose very badly. And basically Liquid gets his hand on the genes of Big Boss. Also, he reveals the reason why he's able to enter the Sons of Patriot system is because he managed to get the remains of GW. GW wasn't destroyed, it was just split up into multiple small parts, which he managed to get his hands on everyone, put them back together. So he has GW and basically has control of GW. But in order to get control of GW, he needs the Big Boss's genetic code, which he has now. GW is basically the military part of the Patriots. So everything military, guns, like everything, is now under Liquid's control. Liquid is surrounded by like 5 million US troops, and they're about to shoot him. They're led by Meryl. And right when she says fire, nothing happens, because no one's gun works. Because as Liquid now controls GW, the military part of the Patriots, he now basically turns off every gun on the planet that isn't bypassed by IDs. And after this, he starts going nuts, because he's the only one there who has a gun. So he basically does a cool thing where just this, and his frog starts shooting everyone. And yeah, it's a really, really cool scene. So he basically massacres everyone and sets the Big Boss's corpse on fire, which makes Eva go nuts. She tries to save Big Boss's corpse, the corpse of the man she loved, and is caught in the fire and dies after that. So now Eva is dead as well. And Liquid and friends escape. Back on the Nomad. Shit is bad. Shit is really fucking bad. Like, this one man controls everything at this point, everything military. But he's not done there. He wants to control everything, not just the military. To do that, he has to get rid of JD, the main AI of the Patriots. There's only one problem, and that is that JD is in fucking space. He's on a satellite that surrounds Earth. How the fuck do we do that? And he realized that, but like, okay, GW is ranked number 2 in the hierarchy. So if something happens to JD, GW gets ranked 1 and gets in control of every other. So they plan to nuke JD in space. Another problem with that is that GW doesn't control nukes, just controls smaller weapons. So we can't launch any nuke because we don't have control of that. Unless there was some, I don't know, failed weapon a few years ago that was outside of the Patriots' control that might have survived a way to launch a nuke. Maybe like something that might happen to be in a basement in Shadow Moses. So the plan is to go get Rex. Liquid plans to go get Rex and use Rex's railgun to launch a nuke into space. So we figure this out and we follow him to Shadow Moses. Yeah, nothing really happens in Shadow Moses, to be honest, at least in like the first 99%. It's just nostalgia and fan service. because it's the first game again, and we visit the same areas. It does really start getting important until we get to the hangar and find Rex. So there's Rex, and the railgun is removed. They've already taken it. We're confronted by Vamp, who we fight. He's immortal, right? But we fight him, and he keeps regenerating. But or Snake, uses the syringe, the nanomachine suppressing syringe, on him. Because it turns out he's not magic. He just has a fuck ton of nanomachines. And they're starting to wear out because he's getting old, and the nanomachines are getting old. So just this suppressing thing kind of makes him mortal for a bit. Also, I forgot to mention, during all this, Snake is also using this syringe on himself, because Foxdie is mutating and basically giving him seizures. So to suppress Foxdie, which is also a nanomachine, he uses the syringe on himself all the time. So now that Vamp is mortal, Raiden comes out of nowhere. He's fine, I guess, and fights him. And then there's a really cool showdown between Vamp and Raiden, and Raiden wins. And Vamp is killed. He gets another shot, and now he dies. Naomi comes out. She's the one who created Vamp to some extent. The technology behind Vamp is a technology she created, so she feels responsible for Vamp in some sense. Like, not only like responsible for everything he's done, but also like responsible for him as a person. So she wants him to die in peace. Also, now comes the fucking dumbest moment in all of Metal Gear, I think. Where, I forgot to mention, Naomi and Otacon fuck.
What gives her the good
They
dick?
gave her the dick. So that's fine. Otacon also has like a small little robot that he can see everything through, so that's all there. And Naomi just starts giving herself a shot to suppress nanomachines, and says, "Yo guys, I have cancer." It's not funny. It's real. Because of her work with radiation in her experiments, she has cancer, but she's managed to suppress. She's managed to. We're almost done. She's managed to suppress the cancer with nanomachines. So she's basically cured cancer at this point. Okay, but she says no man is supposed to be immortal or something, and just turns off the nanomachines and dies. And like Otacon starts crying because now every woman he's ever loved. Otacon loved Sniper Wolf as well, but that's side plot. So Otacon starts crying even more because now 3 of the 3 women he loved have died. But yeah, that's the weird. Like she cured cancer, and she's like, nah, that's not right, and she just dies along with this cure for cancer. So yeah, sure, Naomi dies. Fuck, I forgot. Wait. I forgot a slide. I forgot the coolest slide of all. It's fine. You escape in Metal Gear Rex, and now you pilot Metal Gear Rex. So you come to the surface and you fight Liquid. Liquid is riding a Metal Gear race. There's a cool fighting game style scene where you're both controlling your huge mecha thing and fighting each other. It's great. However, Liquid manages to escape. Snake, just for some unknown reason, just decides to throw himself out of the cockpit. Like he could just walk out at this point, but he just throws himself out and lands on his back. It's like, ugh! It's a really funny scene. And now he's hurt because he fucking landed on his ass. Also, he gets seizures, shit like this. So Liquid decides to do the only logical thing, because he has his own version of Arsenal gear that he has somehow made, called Outer Haven, which is supposed to be haven, like a free haven that's outside of the Patriot's control. A huge ship, basically. And he does the only logical thing, is like, I'm gonna ram Snake with my ship. So he just goes to the steering wheel and is like, drive over that, or run over that man. Snake can't move, but is saved in the last moment by Raiden, who, stops the entire ship with just his back, basically. Snake manages to escape. Raiden is crushed. His last words are Rose. I forgot about the Rose thing. Fuck. Rose is in this game as well, but she's fucking Campbell now. She's married to Campbell and they have kids and shit. Doesn't matter. Yeah, great. So yeah, his last words are Rose, and then he's crushed. And then it's immediately said, "Oh, he was badly hurt, but he lives." Okay, sure. So he survives. Now let's go to the climax. I'm gonna fucking go through this because none of this fucking matters. The point in time has come when Liquid is planning to launch the nuke from the railgun. The railgun is on board of Outer Haven, the ship. So during this time they have to open up the ceiling basically, because you can't fire a nuke inside. Bad idea. So we take this moment to board the USS Missouri, guided by Mei Ling, if you remember Mei Ling. All I said about Mei Ling is literally she doesn't matter. And she doesn't really matter in this game as well. All that really happens is that, oh, Poop John is here as well. That's Poop John up to the right. He's hot, by the way. And he and Meryl starts getting like a romantic relationship. Poop John touches Mei Ling's ass. And they're... Snake is like, during the briefing, Snake is like super old. And everyone is trying to feel like, be serious. And he like sits there super old with like an oxygen mask. And tries to say a punchline every once and again, and everyone's like, shut the fuck up, Snake. He tries to say like a joke like, oh, does anyone have any questions? And he's like, yeah, anyone got any smokes? Everyone just looks at him disappointed, and his sight gauge goes down because he's hurt that no one laughed at his joke. He's great at this point. Snake is fantastic at this point in time. But yeah, they basically board catapults, and they launch the catapults on top of the Outer Haven. The Snake, Meryl, and Poop Johnny are launched onto Outer Haven. So we sneak through Outer Haven, and basically we reach a room where we're followed by a bunch of frogs. So Snake, Meryl, and Johnny say that, go on, Snake, we'll take care of this. And then they basically say that we're gonna get married, and then they shoot people and hold the door. And then we get to another door and get confronted by a bunch of other frogs, and this time Raiden comes out and says like, oh, you hold the door, I'll go through this. Because we know that the next thing in this game, we know, Snake knows, is going to be the corridor leading up to GW, which is the AI here that we're supposed to take down. The corridor is a microwave corridor. So it's basically a huge corridor like that's a microwave oven that you have to walk through. Yeah.
How are they going to destroy GW?
With a virus that Otacon has. Otacon is following with the Mark II little small robot that he has. It says that Sonny developed it. Sonny Ulrikovic. So yeah, Raiden tries to say that you stay here, I'll do this. And Snake is like, you have a future. Because he has a point, Snake is literally dying, so who the fuck cares if he dies here to some extent. And there's a huge scene where you crawl through this microwave corridor. You reach somehow, after a very dramatic scene where you like have to press, you barely crawl your way through, and everyone is basically dying around you. You see a small movie as this is happening, where everyone is dying, everything is going to shit. You reach GW and you implant the virus, and just a bunch of videos of Naomi pops up. And it's like, the thing, it's literally a thing where it's like, Naomi's looking out into this, like she's doing there, and then she's doing this. Oh, didn't see you there. Basically, that's basically what happens. And she tells Snake that she and Sonny developed this virus. And so they implement the virus, but the virus doesn't only destroy GW. It uses GW as a gateway to the rest of the Patriots, and basically destroys all of the Patriots, everything, the AI, but manages to keep up their vital societal functions. So, you know, we can destroy the Patriots, but the entire world won't be destroyed along with it. We just remove their control of everything. This virus is called Fox Alive. It's fucking great. And she says that she and Sunny developed it. The reason why she went onto the Nomad with Snake in the first place was because she was planning to create the virus with Hal. But she noticed, like, yeah, sure, Hal is good, but Sunny is fucking amazing at this. So she just did it with Hal, with Sunny instead. So yeah, that's it. The Patriots are fucking dead. The Patriots are gone. But what the fuck about Liquid? So we pass out and we wake up on top of like a huge tower on top of the Ark or Outer Haven or whatever we want to call it. Where Liquid is. And he says, this was my plan all along. Sure. So everything up until this point was planned. Because he planned for Snake to destroy the Patriots. Because that's the true Outer Haven. World with no control. Yeah, and then they fight because Liquid is still a fucking asshole. So they fight, and the last fight in the entire Metal Gear series chronologically is a fighting game. Like side view fighting game, new controllers. It's great. You start off with like the health bars from the first game and the moves, and then you start off with the second game and the third game, and there's like moves from each game, and then the fourth game where both of you is like you're basically dying, the both of you. And it's a fantastic scene. There's even a moment up there. You know, they used nanomachines to. It's basically just steroids at this point, the nanomachines, to get up. So they use their last shots, and they're on top of each other, and then they both drop theirs, pick it up, and stick it in each other's neck. And it's cool, but it's also the first time that Snake acknowledges that he enjoys the fighting, which is actually kind of important. The first time Snake acknowledges that he enjoys the fighting, the thing that people tell, he's like, "Oh, I'm not a hero. This isn't glorious. It's just killing." This is the first time he acknowledges to some extent that he enjoys it. Yeah, so you fight and you basically kill Liquid. And in the last moment, absolute last moment before he dies, he looks up and does this. He says, "You're pretty good." The thing that Ocelot used to do. So that's where Ocelot comes back for like a few seconds. His personality. So, yeah, that's Poop Johnny and Meryl. They're getting married. And there's like a huge marriage, and it's just fun. Drabin reveals that he was working for the Patriots all along. He was ordered to assist Snake, because the Patriots wanted to assist Snake because they wanted to get rid of Liquid, and they never expected for Fox Alive to destroy all of them. So they've been assisting us all along. I just want to I did something cool. Remember this, Rat Patrol?
What?
I am Lord Voldemort. So, great. Yeah. We're gonna watch a movie together real quick, and we're almost done. But I have to do this, of course. We're actually gonna go. Nay, no.
Susan.
he's still infected with Foxstein. He's still a time bomb.
This is my final mission.
Skip the credits. Yeah, here's Revan, blah blah blah. Nej! Not now! Susan! No! Fuck off! So yeah, that's Metal Gear Solid 4. That's the conclusive end of the... What do you think?
Jag är ägglig så det är lite av just det. Men jag vet inte vad jag fattar det. Men det är mäktigt att det är. Då dödar man väldigt långt. Och jag tänker 2 dödar riktigt dödar.
Ja, Metal Gear 1 dödade Venom Snake. Metal Gear 2 riktiga virus.
Ja.
Här har vi alla voice actors. Ja.
Ja.
Ja, vi är klara.
Ja. Eller? Vad fan?
That's right. Good. No need for you to go just yet. It's been a long time.
Nej. Nej. Jag är så jävla förbannad. Alltså, baby. Bara för att jag frågar. Jävla skit. Gud, vad vilken jävla idiot jag är.
So let's go back to the PowerPoint, shall we?
Oh.
So yeah, great. We're not done yet.
Twist.
So, Big Boss is alive? Well, turn this down. This is a great song, by the way, that I specifically put here. Yeah, let's see if I can find my notes for this shit. Yeah, he basically appears. Snake sees him as a threat in the beginning, but he just walks up and hugs Snake. Says that the corpse, you know, Big Boss corpse, that was not his corpse. That was the corpse of his perfect genetic clone, Solidus. Remember Solidus? So, what the fuck is happening? Basically, the thing about Big Boss being kept alive as like a shell of his former self, that's true. Like he was kept alive, like, you know, the corpse we saw before by the Patriots ever since Zanzibar Land, in pretty much that state as well. Everlasting suffering and not really brain dead, but you know, yeah, just a shell. However, after Solidus died, the Patriots used Solidus and Liquid's body to reconstruct Big Boss, basically from the ground up. This is, yeah, basically that's what happens. But he's still being kept asleep by the Patriots, is the basic explanation. So, let's talk for a bit, okay? So you know Liquid Ocelot? He never existed. Liquid was not part of Ocelot, it was just Ocelot all along. You see, now here's a speculation, but the official story that's basically being projected in this game at least, is that he only pretended to be Liquid to fool the Patriots. Because, and that might seem stupid, but this is a world where ghosts exist. So he pretended to be Liquid as soon as Snake came by. Why did he pretend to be Liquid? Well, Ocelot and Eva have been working together for all this time. Ocelot, Eva, and Naomi have been working to bring back Big Boss to life, or wake him, and to destroy the Patriots. You know, Naomi respects Big Boss immensely. Eva loves him, Ocelot respects him. So that was their goal. They did this by, for example, doing a what do you call it? A philosophy that Big Boss talks about here a lot. Like, if we want to destroy Patriots, we have to return it to zero. We have to return it to nil. There can't be any traces of it left. So they had Grey Fox kill Paramedic, who was one of the original members. Ocelot killed the DARPA chief, stuff like that. And they managed to get Big Boss's location from GW by Raiden, stuff like that. This whole thing, everything that happens here, will take a fuck ton of time if I really go into the details of how and why. But there is an explanation, better than what I can bring you right now. But yeah, so why did he pretend to be Liquid? Basically because Ocelot could be a threat, right? Ocelot could try to bring down the Patriots. Liquid wasn't as much of a threat, he was just a nuisance. They knew where they had Liquid, and Liquid didn't have the history that Ocelot had. So in order to fool the Patriots into just assisting Snake in taking down Liquid, he basically made himself Liquid. And he believed he was Liquid by using the bunch of nanomachines and hypnotherapy. Like, Liquid Ocelot existed, but Liquid died. It was just a fake person that Ocelot himself believed to be. Yeah, he also brings a old man in a wheelchair with him, down to the left, a vegetable. That is what remains of Major Zero. After he was infected with the virus by Skullface, he basically just became a vegetable. And that's what remains of him. He's not aware of anything around him. And to return everything to zero, Big Boss shuts off his life support, basically. He also says that the new strain of fox dye that he got, remember that? He had a new strain of fox dye. That was injected by the Patriots, by Drebin. It's a fox dye that targets Eva, Ocelot, and Big Boss. They are the three that will be killed by that strain. So Liquid didn't die because we fought him. Liquid had basically had a heart attack. Or Liquid Ocelot. Ocelot basically had a heart attack because he was targeted by your fox dye virus. Eva was also kind of killed. They say she was killed by the fox dye, but she literally burned to death. It's fine. And now fox dye is starting to wear on Big Boss as well, and he's beginning to die. at this point. He also reveals that the new strain of fox dye is taking over the old strain. So that strain that is starting to mutate is gone at this point. So he doesn't have the risk of becoming a walking bomb, at least. He still has rapid aging. He still has like maybe 3/4 of a year to live. But at least he won't die of that. So yeah, they have a talk man to man, and he says like, I never saw you as a son, but I always respected you as a soldier. And then he lies down on the grave of the boss and dies, after doing one final salute. And yeah, that's the end of Metal Gear Solid 4.
Du får ursäkta mig om jag inte tror på det när vi säger så, men jag ser inte ut att ha några slides kvar i alla fall. Så det är alltid...
Nej, jag har inga slides kvar.
Nej. Skönt.
2.
5 timmar till då. Min hjärna är fan mos nu. Det är...
Reklam.
Oj,
More commercials, strepsils, honey and lemon. I hate commercials. There were probably 2 as well, right? Huh? Yeah, Hideo Kojima. Round of applause for Hideo Kojima.
You crazy bastard.
You thought it was over.
relax.
You thought it was over. You didn't know about this. You left before this could happen.
Thanks. I'm quitting. Snake. These things will kill you.
Where will you go? Our fight is finished. There's nothing left for us to do.
No. There's one thing I still have to do. I have to see this age off. See what the future brings.
Sounds good to me. I'll go with you.
Otacon, I'm gonna be dead soon. You don't have to come.
You said it yourself, Snake. There's nothing inside you can pass on to the next generation. No genes, no memes. You're man-made. You're a beast.
I know. A blue rose. There won't be any happy Beauty and the Beast ending for me. What little time I have left will be spent living as a beast. A shadow of the inside. Of the old age.
Exactly. That's why you need me as a witness.
A witness.
Yeah. Someone on the outside to bear witness to your final days. Someone to pass on your story. Not that I'm the only witness. But I'll remember everything you were and stick with you to the end.
Otacon.
Besides, you wouldn't let me suffer Sonny's eggs alone, would you?
Now we've gone through the entire Metal Gear saga.
Nice.
One last word before we leave. There's one, I think it's a message of these games that I hate to get serious after joking so much about, I don't know, Ocelot and blah blah blah. But it's, Kojima is a very political man, and I think he wants to shove this down your throat because he cares about it, so I care about it. So I just want us all to poop, Johnny, 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 poop.